just to hear that steel come down the track.
The difficult job of delivering mail across entire states each day required an immense amount of teamwork. For those new to the job, they found help in the seniority of fellow clerks who mentored them. And while at times there was competition between clerks in sorting the mail, at the end of every day, each clerk was responsible for making sure he did whatever necessary in helping others complete the shared task.
Everybody worked together. If they didn't, the clerk in charge would get on you. If you was caught up and wasn't helping somebody else. Nobody ever had to be asked. They just volunteered to do it.
Everybody worked hard together. It was really a good bunch of guys to work with. You had a little bit people from different areas, and it was really a good time working. I really enjoyed it.
I think there was a little competition, you know, between the men. You know, I got my mail work before you did, but everybody worked until all the mail was worked out. And that was, I think, the difference of any other organization I ever worked for is everybody worked until all the mail was worked out.
It was one of those deals that if somebody needed some help, everybody would pitch in and help. I mean, it wasn't like nowadays, you know, well, that's your job, and now, you know, I got my job. Everybody chipped in and helped because our main goal was to get the mail out, and that's what we did.
I'd say about 95% worked well together.
Yeah.
And I was surprised we had a lot of older clerks. Matter of fact, when I started, I think his seniority date was 1920. And he took me under his wing real well and treated me like his son.
Yeah. I think we all experienced that. There was someone out there that would look out for you. And the thing that amazed me, which you don't find today, if one person got caught up with his job and you were done, you went and helped him. The sooner all of you got done, the sooner you could relax and have a little bit of rest before you got to the next destination.
A lot of them it was kind of funny. It was some of them were cards, and some of them, you know, didn't want to work, but yeah, most of the guys were real nice. And I was asked earlier about, you know, getting along with everybody. Well, everybody was you had a 30-foot space, and it was 9 foot wide, and you had a walkway to go through, plus you had your storage where your stuff was at, and you had 6, 7 guys in there. You had to get along.
Whether it was just the motion of the train or the close-knit quarters, many railway postal clerks found ways to keep the job exciting, although sometimes inadvertently. With long days of rigorous and repetitive work, many clerks enjoyed the infrequent surprises that were often and simply part of the job.
These cars had drawers in most of them where you'd put your clothes and, you know, where you change clothes and put your clothes in there and so forth. But when those tables or those drawers start coming out of that cabinet, you know, you think, boy, is he going to get around this curve before we go on the ground? And you know, and they come out like that, and you're hanging on. You know, it gets you get, well, are we going to make it?
And one thing about it, he'd make coffee drinkers out of you. We had one guy in the crew had a little steam pot up on the side of the car back with the restroom, and the guys carried a tin coffee bucket, and one guy made the coffee. Put in that steam thing, covered the mail sack till it got done, and everybody then chipped in to help him pay for the coffee. And a time or two, somebody complained about it. He'd threaten to just go over to the door and pour it all out. So there's a lot of good times on it.
Well, almost all in the chicken ovens, we used to pull off on the side on a passenger train, let the freight train go by. We seemed to always pull down there by a watermelon patch. I don't know what, but we did get a watermelon.
When I worked on the city of New Orleans, Train 1, first pouch I caught was at Piatone, which is north of Kankakee. The last one I caught that night was just north of Memphis, so as a few towns in between. I'd like to say I caught them all, but I'm afraid I didn't.
You mean you didn't get reprimanded? Well, I got reprimanded when I knocked one down. And then the clerk in charge tried it, and he knocked it down, and nothing word was said was on it. He did it.
I didn't say that.
Chicago was the coldest place I've ever been in my life in the wintertime. 12th Street Station was a tunnel-like, and you get off the train and that air coming down, that wind, you didn't quit carrying a jacket until July. July the 4th, we thought that we could quit carrying a jacket for a couple of months.
That was a good thing about working on the Chicago-Memphis. You could leave Chicago with snow to be on the ground, get to Memphis and the flowers was blooming.
Yeah, yeah.
It was,
Very true.
I mean, a whole different country, a lot of country going through there.
We had one time, guy dumped a pouch and there was a snake in it. That it came from another train line, so they think somebody was messing with somebody. But that got a little excitement. Yeah.
I guess one of my scariest moments is working from Carbondale to Chicago. And the train from Birmingham came into Carbondale, and they had the police out surrounding things, and they were transferring a very high-value registered mail to our car. And I had the misfortune to be in the register clerk. So he says, when you get to Chicago, they will meet you at the train and escort you to the post office. Well, when we got to Chicago, there wasn't anyone there except the guy going to take the mail off the train. So I got in the mail truck and took this to the Chicago post office. And I told him, I said, I thought I was supposed to get an escort from the station to the depot, to the post office. Oh, he said, we trust you. And in Carbondale, I was surrounded by police. But in Chicago, you're on your own.
I was making a trip from Chicago to St. Louis one time as a sub, and we were going along. Usually they put the mail car right behind the engines, but on this, and somebody was on the back, and we were going through the country, and it started slowing down. Everybody, well, what's going on? Well, look, here we were out in the middle of nowhere. We came unhooked, and the train went on. We were sitting out there in the middle of nowhere, you know. They were next town before they realized we weren't even on there, so they had to come back and pick us up.
Did you guys just sit and wait for them?
We worked, we had work to do, so, it wasn't nothing bad. It just kind of strange, just be sitting out there in the middle of nowhere, hoping another train didn't come along, and if they did, they saw us,
To me, it wasn't real hard work, but you got tired because you worked quite a few hours. But boy, when you seen them big city buildings there in Chicago, you felt a lot better.
Just to hear that steel come down the track, it got me wondering where my next meal might be at. I spend my days at the station as close to a bomb as you can get.